I'm Nick Filardi.
I'm Jason Thielbar.
Welcome to the world's second finest podcast. Welcome to the Two Read Pile, where Jason and I tackle movies, books, podcasts, entertainment, content, hashtag content. We'll cram it down our gullets, and then we'll, like a mother bird, we will regurgitate it into your mouth, ears, holes. The metaphor doesn't hold up, but like the point is this, that we're trying to check out some stuff in our to read pile, and if we like it, we bring it to you and we say, hey, you should check this out too.
Yeah.
As always, if you don't have a comic shop in your area, you can check out the Amazon affiliate links below. You can check those out and pick up any book we talk about. Also, this show is on YouTube, so if you like a little bit of art with your podcast, because this is a visual medium, check it out at youtube.com/NickPhil. Let's stop clapping. Let's start doing A Dream for the Teens and the In-Betweens of the 20s Yet Unseen. Jason, what are you pulling off the to-read pile?
Yeah, I'm just going with it. I bought two books from my local church / comic book shop the other day, and I only read the first part of the other one, which I might talk about. We talked about it on the show before, or you did. But this one is The Cat from the Kimono.
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
Well, it's published by Humanoids, so it's a European book. The artist is Nancy Pena, and it's just this gorgeous fairy tale that's told in this like Victorian era sort of Edward Gorey style of art, but also like, I mean, it's even described on like the back cover of inspired by Japanese painting and 19th century English engravings, you know.
Nice.
And it's it's not like full album size, but it's not like standard trade paperback size. But the art is just gorgeous. It's one of those things where, because it's a fairy tale, the story itself is like simple-ish, but like you have appearances from Alice from Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, that's great.
It's like these like magical cats like come to life like off of a kimono, and travel around the world, and like the cats are it's black and white, and the cat's black, and so like the cat will like there are scenes where Watson finds the cat, right, like swimming in the ocean. Watson scoops the cat out, but Watson's wearing everything black, and the cat just disappears into him.
Sure,
These like two little eyes.
As black
like the
cats
style is,
do. That is a real thing.
It is. Having had two black cats in my life, it is. They're great. Man, just the cats too. It's like one of those like, when people can draw animals and just like really, really capture, really sit in a simplistic way, just like everything about that animal,
Sure.
Like I really dig. And I'll definitely go back to it like again and again. I was actually like kind of flipping through it the other day, just because it really is like, I love the art. I love this art style so much, and it's one of those like, it's a quick read because it's not very long anyway, but also it just moves, it just keeps you like moving, but I also, again, because of the art, I'm just kind of like, I'm going to turn the page back for a second and just sort of,
yeah.
I just kind of want to live in it a little bit more and like really enjoy it. So yeah, the cat from the kimono, it's not anything super deep. You might be able to draw something from it. It's kind of a melancholy fairy tale, as some of them are. But I saw it. I'm like, that looks interesting. And then the humanoids thing, I'm like, all right, humanoids.
Yeah.
I'll give most stuff from Humanoids a shot here or there if it looks
absolutely
looks interesting enough. Yeah. So the Cat from the Kimono by Nancy Pena, really, really good. And then before I get to my non-comic book recommendation, I don't have Starman stuff this week, but fun story. I wanted to buy the compendiums And so I'm searching on eBay and I find both compendiums, and I messaged the seller because I'm like, they wanted $100 and I was like, how about 80 and I'll just pay the shipping. And they were just immediately like, they accepted the offer.
Yeah.
And then I didn't check my email for a minute because we were recording. And then after we were recording, I looked at my email and I had gotten a message back. And the seller was like, hey, do you want James to sign one or either of the books for you? Because I know like they're not even touched. Like they're like unopened.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the? And I was like, holy crap, if you can get, I'm like, I just messaged the seller back. I'm like, yeah, if you can get him to sign anything or whatever, I just love the books. That's so cool. Yeah, I'd be like super appreciative. This is like amazing. And then she messaged me back and she goes, well, I'm married to him. So like, I'm pretty sure I can get him to sign anything. I'm like, holy crap. I bought, so big shout out to Allison Robinson and James Robinson. Like, thanks for let me buy those, but also, hey, thanks for writing them and being really cool. I just thought that was such
rules, dude.
It's just such a fun story. It's like, holy shit, that's so cool. So
I've got a question. Do you have the compendiums now? They are in your house.
Yes,
you have held them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were a couple podcasts ago. We were talking about this, about how like you're like, well, the compendiums are nice, but like they're big and they're giant, and I like a thinner book. I like a floppy. I like 6 issues at a time. Something like that. Now that you have the compendiums, because the compendiums are soft cover, not hardcover.
Yeah.
Now that you have it in your possession, what do you think about like compendium size?
I don't mind it. I don't. Yeah. I just always worry about like. I think it's because like I don't trust. Big apologies, because this is my bias, I suppose, but I don't trust big publishers like that to always get books that size right. Because it can be so hard. And like whenever I've tried books of that size from a bigger publisher, it's always like there's some kind of like, oh, well, this is bending. Well, okay, now this is getting ate up by the page, and it's just not as like just well put together. So they did like turn me off for a bit. But hey, my bias is shown to be kind of dumb, so I should probably start giving a few more of those a chance, because it's not like because I'm about to read after I'm done with a different book I'm reading. I'm planning on really digging back into, because it's been years and I don't remember a whole lot of it. Anders Nielsen's Big Questions, which is like 1,200 pages long.
Yeah,
and like a single volume. So I'm not like,
you like a big book. You won't shy away. If a big book lands in your lap, you're not going to shy away.
Yeah. I think it was just my latent bias of the, maybe I've read the Comics Journal for too long, and like anything DC or Marvel did, I was like, whatever squares. Yeah.
I'm also finding that like there wasn't a lot of care taken to long trade paperbacks like that when we were younger.
Yeah.
And so like those opinions have kind of like solidified in my heart. And then now that we're older and like people are taking more care of these things and putting out like interesting editions and things like that like I'm like, oh, you can buy a book this thick and it like won't impact the content. Like they figured it out. They tried enough stuff that didn't work that now they're like, okay, this will work.
Yeah, totally. And then the only other thing, because I just recently watched it, Criterion Channel has a bunch of great con movies collection, a con movie collection through all of like November. But I'm sure you can find.
Are you talking con as in convict, or are you talking about con as in Confidence Man?
Oh, as in Confidence Man. As in,
okay.
So so they have like The Sting and like The 12th Man, all that. They have a movie I'd never seen and I honestly never heard of before. I was kind of shocked that I didn't, but it has John Cusack, Annette Bening, and Angelica Houston, and it's called The Grifters, and it came out in 1990, and I'd never seen it before. But yeah, just that cast alone, and also like, you know, con movie called Fuck Yeah. It's so good. It's so goddamn good. I love it. I'll just read a quick from, it's essentially, it is what it, it's John Cusack plays a grifter whose mother shows up, who's also a grifter. Who's like everyone in this, it's a neo-noir film,
Nice.
So everything is all super like, like he meets like John Cusack's character like meets like this like master grifter who teaches him everything. There are all these, everyone's always in on some kind of con. Annette Bening gets naked a lot, which is always fun. Always fun, but it's just this like, it's this fun, really good noir story that also is like shockingly kind of dark. Like you're like, oh yeah, wait, that's right, this is there's this isn't a fun world to be in.
I don't watch a lot of movies over the course of a year. For whatever reason, after I got out of college, I just started binging TV while I work. Well, the reason is, so I'll binge TV while I work, and then movies require more of your focus. So I couldn't work while I had a movie on. And then some television series are like that too, like The Wire and stuff like that, where they'll show and not tell kind of thing. But like Law and Order SVU, it's a podcast. You don't even have to see anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So I kind of stopped watching a lot of movies, and then I realized just recently that all the movies that I had been seeing for the past like decade were all like Marvel DC stuff that like I was like, so I kind of, this is a long wandering story to come to this point that Shannon put on Practical Magic while I was doing some drawing over here, and also from the 90s. It was spooky season, whatever. And I was glancing over at it, and it looked like a movie. Like, it didn't look like a CGI mess. It wasn't like totally polished. They didn't like scrape all the grain off the camera. It was like, it looked like a movie. It has this like intangible quality that like was immediately charming, like without even like hearing any of the dialogue, because I had headphones in, any of that. I was just, I don't know, like kind of floored by it visually, which like, who gets floored by like Practical Magic the movie? You know what I mean? But I feel like we've gone so far from that now I'm like, man, I think I just gotta like dial into some 90s movies.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. And one of the things that drove me to, and is driving me to make, I'm trying to make it a point too to like watch more movies. Well, because number one, like I do watch a bit, I guess, but like I have the Criterion Channel subscription for a reason.
Might as well. Yeah.
But also like I get so exhausted by, oh, you have to watch this new show. I'm like, I'm gonna have to you're now wanting me to watch another 8 hours of a story that could probably have been told in like 3.
Yeah.
And you're telling me, oh no, well, wait till episode 5, and it gets really.
Our buddy Ziggy, this is his like big axe to grind. This is the hill that he will die on. He talks about this all the time, where like a television show should be a television episode of content. There may be an overarching story, but there should be a beginning, middle, and end to every episode. That is the way television is made. It is not an 8-hour movie. When it turns into an 8-hour movie, you end up with like things in the middle that are just boring. Like,
Yeah.
there's just nothing going on. The characters don't have a lot to do because like it's built to be 4 hours or whatever. I was watching the new Ahsoka show and the Ahsoka Tano show from Star Wars. And because I like that character and she's great in Clone Wars, the animated series. Really enjoyed it. And this just felt, Jason, they spend a whole episode just like investigating the docks and how the bad guys are stealing a hyperdrive from the docks, and they're at the docks and then they fight at the docks. And I'm just like, I fucking hate this. Just give the bad guys the hyperdrive and let's move on, you know?
Yeah. Well, or I was like this morning, I was at my mom's house because I took today off of work. I was at my mom's house to do something with her, and we went to while she was getting ready, I was just sitting around. And she's like, "Yeah, just turn on the TV." I'm like, "Yeah, all right." And I'm like, just kind of flipping around. It's like 8 a.m, and I'm like, "Ah, shit, Deep Space Nine, nice,
hell yeah!"
And it was just like everything I needed, even though I forgot like some of the characters' names right away. Then I'm like, "Oh, okay." I started like, I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, you pick it up quick.
Yeah. And then it's like, holy shit, beginning, middle, end. Here's the beginning of the story where character gets mad. Characters don't know why this other character is mad. It's something to do with her physiology because she's the was the Cardassian or no, the
sure.
with the tattoos on the side of the
are you talking
the head
about the you're talking about Jadzia Dax?
That's it. Thank you, Dax. Yeah, I was forgetting.
I forgot what her species is, but yeah.
I remember the characters, but anyway, but like it's an episode where like she loses like I don't know the symbiote part of her is something's messed up with it.
Yeah.
But that happens in the middle. The captain and the whole crew find the solution, and then the resolution of it is at the end.
Yeah,
it's at the end of the episode.
That's all you need.
Yeah, it's not 5 episodes later where you don't know if she's alive or dead, and like 2 other characters went on some quest or like made up with their dad or something like that. Like I give a shit. Like
by the way, shout out Dax trans icon. Like
oh fuck yeah, that's such a great scene.
Such a smart way to do like gender fluid stuff by being like, well, it's a host that is, or a parasite, not a parasite. What do they call it? A symbiote, maybe? I don't know. I forget what they call it, but it's like
symbiote something
that has lived in as a man and as a woman and as a space alien. And it's like it's been in all these different people and it remembers them. And it's like, now I'm a woman. And it's like, this is just who I am, you know?
Yeah.
In this like fluid continuity. And it's a really creative way for like sci-fi to get into it. I mean, I could talk about Deep Space Nine all day. I literally did 6 issues of Deep Space Nine. Like, you should check those out. They're freaking rad. It's called Dog of War. Shameless plug there. But yeah, Deep Space Nine, so good. And such a great, Star Trek in general is such a great example of like, we're going to do an episode. And it's going to have a beginning, middle, and end. And there might be some overarching stuff, like one character's a little upset, and that's going to continue into the next episode or whatever. But like, mostly there's a moral or lesson or point to the whole episode. And like, sometimes it does really well. Sometimes it falters. You know, there's better episodes than others. But it's like, yeah, man, totally. Trek is like perfect for that. We've talked about Trek before on this podcast. People don't watch enough Trek. This is the hill I'm going to die on. I'm going to drag the rest of humanity into Star Trek, kicking and screaming.
But I also think, people don't watch enough movies for adults. You know, because while again, I love the Grifters. Everyone watch the Grifters. Seriously, if that cast doesn't just get you to watch the Grifters, I don't know. But also, like, it's like I would bring up to people too. It's like, I liked Knives Out, right? Like Knives Out was a very fun movie. I love Ryan Johnson. He's a great filmmaker. I loved a lot
Yeah,
of his other movies. I saw Knives Out in the theater. A lot of fun. Foghorn Leghorn accent.
yeah,
Awesome. People were so
yeah,
shocked at how well it did. And it's just like, yeah, hey, you made an adult movies with an adult story that was kind
yeah,
of fun. That
yeah,
wasn't this like giant, like, who the hell's this person now? I got to ask my nerd kid to like what this character's backstory is before like I go to like, this. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, isn't it fun to go see a movie where I know they made a sequel to Knives Out, but to go see a movie where like you don't feel the need to have to see the sequel, like, oh, there's going to be an after credits. Is it? No, it
yeah,
ended just like it's okay to turn, what? It's okay to turn the spigot off for like a little bit is all I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. I just to add to this real briefly, if you are feeling like you're feeling that Marvel DC fatigue when it comes to media, the Star Wars machine and everything, and you feel like maybe you want something else, I have found two lists of movies that I want to start pulling movies from. Well, actually three. So Shudder does a thing with The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs.
Yeah,
And
yeah. My friends of mine love that.
I just started getting into it. It's
loves Joe Bob Briggs.
If you imagine like he's been kind of doing the same show since like the 90s, and what it is like he will show the movie and then he will interrupt the movie in the quote unquote commercial breaks, but there's no commercial breaks. And he'll just be like, add some like facts and trivia about the movie that you're watching, or like a perspective on it or whatever. And then you go
like
back into the movie.
Yeah, like TCM.
Yeah, totally. And it's all just like B movie horror stuff. It's fantastic. So I started plugging away at that list, and then I found two lists. So we just finished watching Gilmore Girls, all of it, 7 seasons and then a year in the life. Can't recommend Gilmore Girls enough. It's an incredible show. Every time I watch it,
you have a back tattoo dedicated to
it. Every time I watch it, I'm like, this show, I pick new things out of it that like pertain to my life or whatever I'm going through. Like I change. Gilmore Girls stays the same. I change, and then I find new things in there. It's what is really great about art. All of the characters are frustrating, but it's like frustrating in a way where it's like, yeah, they would do that. Yeah.
Or you start to think, oh shit, I've acted like that. Oh no.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Where it's a very believable thing. Like it's not just like straight up and down black and white kind of stuff like a lot of the Marvel movies are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I found a list. So they talk very fast on Gilmore Girls and they reference a lot of things. And somebody put together a list on Letterboxd of every movie that the Gilmore Girls have referenced and how they referenced it. They pulled quotes and like put them into the thing. I'll link it down below if you're interested in this. But it's 100 movies, and it ranges from like very, very classic stuff, like stuff that like I was trying to find and was kind of difficult, like Shirley Temple stuff, to like Deer Hunter, to like Footloose, to like whatever. It's just, it runs the gamut of cinema, and in like a really interesting way. The first movie on the list is West Side Story, which is a stone cold classic. Like I don't get down with musicals really, but like West Side Story is the shit. Like I gotta watch the new one.
I'm not a big musical guy either, but I do fall under the spell for like the big ones, for like the classics, for like West Side Story, the Music Man, like even like Oklahoma, and but
Let me tell you the other list that I looked up, which is batshit crazy. And that
is that the name of the list?
It should be. somebody cataloged all the movies that they ever showed on USA Up All Night.
Oh, fuck yes. Oh, fuck yes. Oh,
Jason,
my God.
It is unhinged. I have to get the thing, because it'll be a list of like, hey, this is a stone cold classic. Like, okay, all right, I'm trying to find a good section, right? So it's like, okay, Abducted 2, The Reunion, which are like B movies that I have not heard of. And then The Abyss, and then Adventures in Babysitting, and then Airplane 2, Alien, and then Alien Predators, There's No Place Like Home. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that movie is. It's like the weirdest stuff that they scraped from the bottom of the catalog alongside like things that are stone cold classics. And I'm kind of here for it. I kind of want to chip away at both lists, to be completely honest.
Yeah, fuck yeah, you should. That, man, what absolute hero decided to put in the hours to catalog all the movies that USA's Up All Night used to play? Oh my God.
For anyone who doesn't know, USA Up All Night was a show that would run like, I think 3 movies through the evening.
Yeah, they'd start at like 10 or 11 or something like that and go into like the early morning, which is probably when they really played like Abducted 2.
right.
It's at like 2 in the morning, and
it was usually hosted by like a bimbo-y character.
Yeah, a very buxom.
Yeah. And like I was, we were teens when that show was out.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, oh, this immediately captures my attention as a teen boy,
Yeah.
Watched a lot of movies that way.
Hey man, and anything that gets you to eat your vegetables,
Exactly. Oh man, yeah. I want to plug away at those lists. I'm going to link those lists below so you can check them out yourself.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So what have you been reading?
So I actually had a little time on my hands this week. Chipped away at a little bit of Sandman Mystery Theater, but first I want to talk about, there's a new issue of Wesley Dodd's Sandman on the DC app. The first issue dropped.
Okay.
And it's totally beautiful. It's written by Robert Venditti, and he and I worked on with Michael Avon Oeming on World of Krypton, which is also, I'm biased because I worked on that, but I think that is also a beautiful book. The art is by Riley Rossmo, colors by Ivan, I'm going to butcher this name, Pelisenia. Second issue is out November 14th. So by the time you listen to this, the second issue should be out. You can get that at your local shop. It is gorgeous. Riley has a incredibly unique style, and he was on a Robin book apparently that people did not like when that came out. His style is very bouncy. It's very cartoony. I can understand how, if you are a Robin fan, maybe this is not the guy you want for it, but for the Sandman, for all the smoke and effects and characters, and like, it's set in the 30s. It's just incredibly fun. I cannot recommend it enough. That is Wesley Dodd's Sandman. Also, chipping away at Sandman Mystery Theater. And I'm reading it, and we're not going to get into, I'm going to save, I'm like halfway through now, more than halfway through, 600 of 900 pages right now. So,
okay. Yeah, I was going to say it's quite a long,
yeah, it's a long trek, and it's a slow book because they'll do like a 4-issue arc, and then like 3 issues will be building up to the action that happens in the 4th. So there's basically no action for like 70 pages, which is kind of unheard of in comics. Like, usually the rule of thumb is like, for mainstream books, it's like, we need a fight every 20 pages. Like, somebody's got to fight something every issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, maybe. Well, so, it was a Vertigo book, so maybe it got
right. and it was for adults, and so they got a
Yeah.
little leeway to like kind of like make it slow. And I'm not criticizing it for being slow. It's just the nature of what it is. If you're looking for a slower read, Sandman Mystery Theater is really great. And it's just like one murder mystery after another. Very fun. However, Sandman is Wesley Dodds is interrogating a guy as dressed as a Sandman, right? And the guy's like, no, I have allergies. Don't hit me with the gas. He's like, please. And Wesley's like, all right, dude, like, you got to tell me about this. You got to tell me about this. You got to tell me about this. The guy's like, oh, the guy like puts it together in his head. He's like, you're like a comic book character. That's what you're doing. And the guy's like, what? Wesley's like, what are you talking about? Because he's like a rich finance guy. Like,
Yeah, it's like the 30s or something.
Billions. It's the 30s. You know,
Yeah.
He constantly talks about how, you know, like the burden of the wealth and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so he's like, what are you talking about? And the guy hands him a comic book. And it features a one-off side character. I don't think this character is ever going to come back except for these couple panels called Dickie Bones. And I cannot stop thinking about goddamn Dickie Bones, Jason.
Yeah, your new obsession.
So, he's kind of like the Gray Ghost from the Batman animated series. He's got a gray trench coat, gray hat. He's got goggles, and he's got crossbones on the goggles. And he drives a 1930s race car with a big skull on the front. It fucking rules. Like, very pulpy, very actiony adventure kind of thing. And I just started thinking about Dickie Bones in general. And I was like, who is Dickie Bones? And then I started thinking, I was like, Dickie Bones, what if he lived in our era, came up with time travel, and he's like, I'm going to go kill Hitler. But he like overshot it. And so now he's like, well, I guess I'll just be a superhero, you know? So he's Dickie Bones in the 30s. And he's a well-read man of 2023 who leans liberal, right? so I imagine, okay, I came up with 3 little newsreels for Dickie Bones. Okay. Let me hit you with them.
All right.
Imagine it in old-timey radio voice.
Yeah, the grainy, the crackling,
yeah.
the high end, because the mics were so bad.
Dickie Bones entered the bar like a tornado, and every shot rang true, brutally slaying every mobster and coming out covered in blood. When approached for comment, he said that women should be allowed to open a bank account on their own. Dickie Bones punched a convicted child molester so hard in his gut that his eyes exploded. When reached for comment, he said, women deserve equal pay. Dickie Bones single-handedly threw the entire JP Morgan firm out of a 50-story window. They were liquefied when they hit the ground. On the street, a young witness, Jackson Pollock, remarked he had never seen anything quite like it. When reached for comment, Dickie Bones said, trickle-down Reaganomics just doesn't work. Whatever, Dickie Bones, it's 1930.
he's trickling down something. I love the little.
I kind of love this character. I don't know if I'm going to do something with him, but he lives rent free in my head right now.
I love the little Pollock punchline you got in there.
Yeah. You gotta.
Like
you gotta.
He was inspired by Dickie Bones.
Okay. So what I really read this week is Do a Power Bomb.
Ooh, hell yeah.
This is by Daniel Warren Johnson with Mike Spicer on colors and Russ Wooten on letters. Jason, real quick, if we were a tag team wrestling group, you and me, this podcast, World's Second Finest, if we were a wrestler, what would our entrance music be?
Our entrance, you know what it would have to be. You know what our entrance music would have to be.
What? I have a pick in my head, and I'm wondering if you had the same pick.
No, because I think my pick's going a bit like deeper and would look goofy to everybody else, but make sense to us. But it would be some song that you and me decide on between one of the local ska bands that we were really into in high school, because they have CDs.
I was gonna go for Seal, "Kiss from a Rose." Like,
oh,
I feel like that's good heel entrance music.
Well, or
and also the Batman tie-in.
Yeah, well, or if you want to go that route, I'd rather go do the have the walkout music be the Prince song that he wrote for the first.
Yeah.
Wake the hell up! It's just absolute insanity, and like you look at Prince and you're like, how have you never done drugs? Like, how are you a Jehovah's Witness? Like, the song is like made by cocaine here. Like, what's going on?
I used to watch wrestling when I was a kid, but I haven't in a long time. I think you're the same way, right?
Yeah. I've friends who are really into it, and like I love the people who are into it, because like it's people who fucking love wrestling, like love the shit out of wrestling, and man, do they love if you ask them about it, like they will excitedly tell you.
So,
here's
the thing. I don't have any touchstone for wrestling anymore. Like, the last time I watched wrestling was probably 1995.
Yeah.
I don't care about wrestling. I like Daniel Warren Johnson, but like I haven't read all of his stuff anyway. So I was like, why would I start here? I passed on Do a Powerbomb many times in the store because I was like, I'm not a wrestling fan. Maybe I won't get it. Maybe it'll contain content that I don't find interesting, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was chatting with a buddy of mine, Brent Schoonover, and he was like, hey, you got to redo a Powerbomb. He was like, even if you don't like wrestling, you got to just give it a shot. Just give it a shot. And so on his recommendation, I picked it up, and holy shit, it's so good. Totally sold on it. So this book also, Daniel Warren Johnson won an Eisner for best teen book for this issue, or for this book, which is kind of a wild category to win in, but like whatever, like it's cool.
Right.
It's a great book, whatever, who cares? Teens will read it. It's about a it starts with a match that happens where something goes really wrong and one of the participants dies, and it's this little girl's mother who is wrestling who died, and she's fighting this like luchador guy, and she's like crushed and devastated, but she like grew up behind the scenes in this like wrestling community, and like all she wants to do is wrestle. That's it. Her name is Lana Steelrose. She wants to honor her mother's memory. She wants to wrestle. She wants to fight. And she can't find anyone to train her because everyone's like, well, your mom passed away in the ring. Like, I'm not going to be the one who like brings you to the ring, like that kind of thing. Like, come on, man. So she can't find a trainer.
Responsible thing to do.
Right. So she can't find a trainer, even though she's got this like fire in her. And she gets approached by this dude in like a leather jacket with spikes coming out of his hair. And he's like, here's what's up. I'm a necromancer. Like, I'm confined to an island after I tried to take over the universe twice. Like, so he's like, I don't have any power outside of the island, but if you come wrestle, he's like, I love wrestling. He's like, you come tag team, like, and I will let you bring back one person from the dead.
Oh, shit.
They will be fully restored. And so she's like, I can bring back my mom. And she's like, I have no one to wrestle with. I don't have a tag team partner. Like, who would I bring? And he's like, well, I know one person that might want to wrestle to bring back your mom too. And it's the guy, the luchador, Cobra Sun, who killed his mom.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
So she teams up with the luchador who and he's Cobra Sun is a mess afterwards, like really lost his spirit for wrestling, is doing a lot of gimmicks, is punishing himself for like all the shit that they went through. And the mistake in the ring, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it kind of escalates from there. You go into this wild intergalactic world where like, and you know, we know that wrestling is not real, but like on all these other planets, wrestling is real. And they're like, so they're like, oh shit, we're like really in the shit now.
That's an awesome sort of I don't know if you call it a plot device or you know, but just like a lot of fun to be had. We're like, oh, it's just sort of theater where we are, but we have to. Oh, okay,
everywhere else it's like real deal. And there's this great moment where Lana Steelrose, the necromancer's pitching this thing, and she's like, yeah, but who's gonna win? And he's like, what? No, nobody knows. And she's like, but it's not real. And he's like, it's definitely real. Like he's like insisting to her that wrestling is real.
Oh man,
it's very, very fun. I don't want to give away anything. All of the wrestlers are fucking bonkers. Very, very much Redline energy. Like I brought Redline to the pod the last time, and it's just like aliens and weird cars and stuff, and then you have JP in the Trans Am. It's the same kind of energy with like she goes in with Cobra Sun, and then like their relationship grows and changes in weird ways, and they fight through all these wrestlers. There's an amazing moment where a wrestler is revealed, right? And it's a big double page spread. They're like leading up to it, and you're like, oh shit, what's he gonna look like? Because you kind of know who he is, but you want to know like what's he gonna look like, kind of thing. You open it up, and it's a double page spread, and he is directly in the middle of the spine, and he is just completely devoured by the spine. Unfortunately, that is my only criticism with this book. Otherwise, it's fucking fantastic. The color is really great. Mike Spicer does a great job. This book, so much fun.
Yeah, I want to pick up more. I absolutely love Daniel Warren Johnson's art. His art is so like.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just.
Let's talk about his art, because I also kind of stumbled into a Comics Journal interview that he did after he won the Eisner.
Yeah.
And I've read Wonder Woman Dead Earth, which was fantastic. And his Beta Ray Bill book, which was also, oh my God, Jason, you got to read that Beta Ray Bill book. It's so good. It's metal as shit.
Love Beta Ray Bill.
So I read this interview, and he talks a lot about his process. And one of the questions really struck me from the Comics Journal was, do you consider yourself to be, because he has like a lot of energy on the page, and he does a lot of speed lines, and he does a lot of blurring stuff that's like normally kind of attributed to manga more than American comics. Like we don't see any of that stuff in the mainline Bat books from 1996. It just doesn't exist yet in our culture. So the Comics Journal asked him, do you think that you do Americanized manga or mangaized American comic books? And he said his answer was that he feels like there's still American comic books with like a manga flavor added, because he was like, his answer was, you know, in manga, they can spend 4 trade paperbacks on a knife fight, but he's like, I don't have that luxury. Like, we got to get in and out, you know? So it's like manga sensibilities wrapped in a story that is just constantly moving, you know? So like, there's always something to look at. There's always something to check out. There's always a moment that's happening on the page that is exciting. And he really keeps that energy moving all the way through. He talks about in the Comics Journal interview, and I'll link that below too, that his writing style is that of a sledgehammer, that he can't do subtle because he wants to be constantly moving. He wants to be showing something on the page. I kind of love that. Like that kind of mentality really speaks to me as a comic reader.
I think it's one of those things too where this only comes through just insane amounts of like practice and seeing what's work. But it's like when you talk about like exaggerating a figure, you know, and it's not always having to be some sort of crazy forced perspective, but it's knowing just when to kind of like make an arm a little bit longer, or maybe like make this back bend just kind of like slightly unrealistic, but not, and how much more like energy and power that gives to that gives to everything, you know. I think is like what I really like dig a lot about his work, and why I can seems so frenetic, you know, and like so quick.
He also will pull the camera back a lot more than your average American comic book does. He like leaves a lot of space to show full figures fighting constantly.
Yeah. And he's not afraid to show background either. He's not afraid to do those like hyper detailed backgrounds.
There was actually an interesting part in the Comics Journal where he was talking about how he will draw in sound effects and things like that. So he'll draw in these sound effects, and the way that he puts them in the background and incorporates them into the page is a very like manga thing, where it's like, okay, like we can have this big moment, and if it was just like a burst zip tone or whatever, like that's fine, but it really needs like something compositionally, something needs to exist in this space for this page to work. And so he'll jam like a chunky sound effect there in a way that like incorporates into his work really well, because he's drawing it, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought that comment and that mentality was really interesting. And it made me want to reread a lot of his work to see where he's doing that. I think that it adds up to a very unique vision and a very unique hand of the artist that I think that he has tapped into. He is himself. He admitted in the interview that he cannot draw sexy ladies. Like he just can't. Like people look lived in, people look real. Like it looks like people that you meet on the street kind of thing. And
not everybody's going to be Adam Hughes, you know, and
right,
just like...
right, exactly. And so I can't say enough good things about Do a Powerbomb and Daniel Warren Johnson in general. I know that like I'm probably like the trillionth person to be like, hey, you got to check this guy out, but you got to check this guy out. Like,
hey man, who cares if you're really, late to the party as long as you're at the party? Okay. Yeah, so I gotta buy more of his stuff.
I bought Do a Powerbomb, and in the same breath, I double dipped and I got Murder Falcon as well.
Oh, fuck. I've wanted to check out Murder Falcon just from the name alone. Just for if it wasn't his art, if I saw a book named Murder Falcon, I'm like, well, I got to give it a shot.
So apparently that's like a very metal book, and he's plays guitar as well, and I heard that he puts like some guitar tabs into that book and stuff. Awesome. So I'm interested in checking that out. It's on my to read pile. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm sure somewhere down the road I will bring it to this podcast because I'm sure it's fucking great.
Yeah. Murder Falcon. God damn.
Yeah. Okay. Man. One of the things, by the way, I didn't even realize this until just the second. One of the things he talks about at the end of the interview is he starts talking about how it feels like with movies and television and stuff that like all of the edges are sanded off, that he was like, you cannot even get good sci-fi these days. Like you think about good sci-fi and you think about Blade Runner. You don't think about like anything anybody's making now because like we've sanded off the edges to make it like as commercially viable as possible. And he closes the interview with like, thank God there's still comics. And like, this is the space, man. This is the space that like I want to live in until I'm dead in the ground, where it's like,
damn right.
Give me that weird, give me that thing that makes you think, give me that swing that, like, you know, you're not an artist making a thing because they're like, this thing needs to exist because I can't find it anywhere else. That is comics, baby. You know?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's why, I don't know. Yeah. It's why you keep on doing it. Right.
Yeah.
It's why everyone keeps on reading them. It's why, you know, it's also what the thing I would always bring up about, like, when the Marvel films first started getting like big, you know, and people are like, oh man, these are a lot of fun. Oh, it's like, yeah, asshole. What do you think I've been reading comics my whole fucking life for? Because like because they're shit. Like, it's
been a continuing art form since the 30s for a reason.
Yeah, like, come on, man. Like, it's
and
like,
if we didn't get if we didn't get hamstrung by the Comics Code Authority, like, we could have European quality level comics right now. We could be at that level. Society accepting comics as a medium and true art being made with every issue. A comics utopia, Jason.
Well, yeah, just like Hicksville. You know, it's why Hicksville is one of my favorite books, because it's just a town where everyone's super into comics and has opinions and they're really well read. Like, that's just fucking paradise to me, man.
Oh man, that does sound pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway, everyone pick up Do a Power Bomb. Even if you don't like wrestling, give it a shot. Borrow it. Get it from your local library. Check it out any way you can. It's really great.
That's awesome.
Jason, how do people get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me on the awful Twitter machine that I still can't let go of, and that's fine. I've made my peace with it. At King of Black Acid on there.
You're a chronic user. You're gonna be there till they turn the fucking lights out.
I scroll. I almost never post. I post way more as World's Second Finest, which you can also find us there at World's Second Finest with the number 2 in there. I've posted way more like actual words on that account than I ever had on my personal Twitter account.
Appreciate that.
You know, yeah, that's where they can find me, and they can find all of your stuff at linktree.com/NickPhil. And also
I don't even have to say it. I don't even have to say it.
Also on your Discord and at youtube.com/NickPhil. Check out those episodes. He just starting.
Yeah. I'm double shipping this podcast up there in order to catch up. Just covers are up. No interiors, because if I started doing interiors, especially with the stuff with where we were covering Contagion and it was like 7 issues, there was like no way I was going to put those videos together. I wish it's the same thing with 0 Hour. Like, I wish that I had the time to really dig in and make a 0 Hour like video, like beginning and end, like put some time into it, but I just don't have the time. It doesn't pay anything. It's like, I don't know. You know, it is what it is. The other thing is, I was going to mention, I cut all social media from my phone except for Discord.
Nice.
And so I am detoxing. I am often picking up my phone and realizing there's no reason for my phone to be in my hand now. That's what I'm doing with my time these days.
Yep. It's good. It's good. It's how you got to do it.
Yeah. So if you want to get in touch with me, Discord is the best place to do it, because otherwise I'm using social media mostly as a one-way street. I might, if you ask me something on Twitter or Blue Sky or Instagram, I might get around to it eventually. Just be patient with me, because I am basically Discord only.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, man.
I think that's the way to do it.
Discord's a real conversation with like actual people, instead of just like 500 people word vomiting whatever thought they have, like all in a feed.
Yeah. Well, and it's also a lot easier to control it if someone starts acting like a dick.
You just kick them out.
Yeah. You just get out of here. Like,
yeah. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everyone.